The server has become more dangerous.
I don't like it here.
Criminals run free, confident that no one can stop them from abusing their power.
You had a laze this whole time?
Yes.
I think Happy can bring his friends.
Monsters have invaded the shopping district, hunting for unsuspecting players. It is time to bring some order to the server. As the season has been going and shenanigans have been had, there have been some disagreements on the server. For example, Hepsi betrayed Topsy during the Elytra game, and Happy keeps yelling about sponges during Raven streams, and Happy married and divorced someone just for tax write-off. We don't even have taxes at home. I kind of wonder if there a common factor between... Well, never mind. I'm getting distracted. As an offhand comment, I said I should build a courthouse where we can properly sue each other instead of just yelling at each other. And a lot of people found that a good idea, so here we are. The problem with adding a legal system to home SMP is that the law is very complicated. You need like a fancy degree and jump over a bar just to allow to practice it. You're not even like doing anything then, you're just practicing. And another problem is that we are all from a lot of different countries that all have their own court systems and ideas on what the rule of law means. For example, in Freedom Land over here, you have the right to be judged by a panel of your peers. But over here in the Netherlands, where I live, we have no such thing, and we are just judged by judges directly. In Happy Sweden, they don't have a court system at all. People just are very nice and polite, and they don't need any law enforcement. And in the UK, they summon the spirits of old kings and queens to judge defendants. Not really factual or legal basis, but more on a spiritual karmic basis. Listen, you don't know British law either. You don't know if I'm lying or not. The question then becomes, if we are all from these various places, whose laws are we going to follow? Well, I argue none of them. So we get to have our own system. And that's where I come in, having to come up with that system, which is totally not a daunting task at all. It's very easy, actually. So let's first have a look at what we want from our legal system. I want it to be easy for people to impromptu sue each other. Of course, in the real world, there's a lot of things that go before, and there's like discovery and sharing of facts and having a look at, is this even worth the judge's time, basically. I think if we're going to put all of that into a system here on home, that's just going to be too much of a hassle and people aren't going to bother. And one of the important rules or ideas I want to have, I really do not want to devolve it into just yelling. That's like, if we want to be just yelling at each other, we can do that anyway. We don't need a court system for that. Trust me, we here on home are very good at yelling at each other about absolutely nothing. Before we get into the court rules, there is an event I'd like to talk about. The Home SMP charity event. I didn't really record any of it because it was 16 hours long and I didn't want to have to deal with that, with all that footage. But, well, actually, that's a lie. I have a little bit of footage. Wow, what intense footage. This is getting too exciting for me. Let's get back to court rules. The reason I bring the event up is not just to brag about how much money we raised, over £1,000 by the way, but also because a couple of hours after I went to bed and the event was still going on, this happened.
You have to go to court right now?
I wanna.
Slime.
Bomb,
Don't
we're
sue me,
going to the
please.
courtance.
Slime.
Bomb, we're gonna go sue somebody.
We
Go
all
to the
just sue
courthouse.
Slime. As
Hello?
representative
Oh my God.
of the server, we're suing you over your unlit base.
Oh!
Yeah.
The £800 goal was reached and an impromptu court battle was had. While I was in bed, I couldn't be there to help people if rules were difficult or hard to follow. So yeah, that was a little bit scary. But we'll see how it went. So before we get into the suit itself, let's go over the rules I came up with. General court procedure, you have to agree to whatever punishment the judge decides. We do not have like a panel of peers here, just because I want to keep the amount of people required for a trial at a minimum. No weapons, of course, are allowed. The bailiff is allowed to have weapons. They are not encouraged to use them, but they are the only one. They are enforcers after all. You are not allowed to interrupt the other party except by objection. So this is to prevent the yelling thing I was talking about. You are, of course, if you think someone is being like ridiculous or not being relevant to the case, you can object, and then the judge decides if that objection is valid or not. Then the people you need. Well, you need a judge, you need someone who is being sued, the defendant, and you need someone who is suing, a plaintiff. Technically, both are allowed to represent themselves. I believe in real life lawyers have a term for that, because you really also want a defense lawyer and a prosecutor. But technically, they are allowed to do the run thing. And a bailiff who enforces the rules, the court rules, like I said earlier. But yeah, these three are optional. So if a lot of people are on the server and you can get 6 people together, there's room for that. Otherwise, technically 3 people are enough to have a suit. I think that's really the minimum amount of people you can have for a thing like this. Then the trial steps. First, the plaintiff makes an opening statement. They talk about what are they suing the defendant for and what their evidence and witnesses will show. Then the defendant makes a statement, probably saying, no, not true at all. And then I had in mind to have the judge decide then what the penalty would be. That's actually, I'll keep it at this for now, because spoiler, this is future Slumperd talking right now. After watching the trial, I want to make a couple of adjustments. I want to adjust a little bit of this. But I think for now, we'll just keep it that this is the rules I sent before the trial you're about to see. So the judge decides the punishment if found guilty, and both parties then get a moment to talk with the judge if they think this punishment is too harsh or too light. They do get that opportunity, but the judge in the end decides. Then parties can take turns bringing evidence in, witnessing, cross-examining, stuff like that. And after all that's done, we don't have any discovery here. So people are allowed to just bring up random evidence in the moment of trial. And then both also get a final statement. I think it's only fair to have the defendant have the real final statement. Well, actually, I guess the judge decides guilt. So, but yeah, then the judge decides the guilt and with the punishment. And like similar as what I said here, I do want to change this a little bit, but that's all for later. These are the rules I sent that everyone had access to before they did the court session. So yeah, let's see how they did. Kind of important side note here for people who aren't very familiar with how Minecraft mechanics work. In Minecraft, monsters appear in places that are too dark, like at caves or at night. There are other conditions for them to spawn. For example, there needs to be enough space for them, so 2-block tall zombie won't immediately die as it suffocates in its block. But in general, making sure that there's enough light to prevent mobs from spawning is the easiest way to make it sure no monsters appear in your base. When people talk about lighting up your base, what they really mean is preventing mobs from spawning. This is slightly different because technically you don't always need to light up your base to prevent mobs from spawning, but it's just the term people tend to use. I mention it because during the trial, it's kind of used interchangeably, but the difference does end up mattering near the end. And like I said, the people in the trial all know these mechanics very well, and so kind of know based on context what it is. But if you don't, it can be a little bit confusing, I think. But yeah, just keep in mind, lighting up your base means preventing mobs from spawning. During the trial, Happy would be the judge, which surprised me given that he also was the initial person to sue Slime, but we'll see how he does. Then Fives was going to be the bailiff. The plaintiff was the entire server, and for some reason was represented by this weather skeleton skull. Raven was going to be the prosecutor, and like we said, Slime was going to be the defendant, and Miller over here was going to be his defense lawyer. Now let's see how they did.
Don't go to jail, Miller.
All rise for the honorable Happy
You just
underscore
got shot in
stunt.
Bro, why is he me?
Oh, ow!
Hey,
I'm so sorry.
you need to be ejected from the court? Is this going to be a problem? Is this going to be a problem?
it's assassination! Get down! Get down! Get down!
Slime, are you okay?
Hand over all your fireworks.
Oh my
I'll give
god!
you back at the
The
end of
doors
court.
work.
Yes, I am here to make a statement on behalf of the server as a whole about the
Defendant, your opening statement.
Here's our documents. Here's our papers for.
Oh yes, perfectly clear.
I know.
Do we have any
Creaky floorboards
witnesses to
back
back either claim? Plaintiff.
yes, I'd like to bring forth a witness.
Do we have a witness?
I've got a couple witnesses to bring to the stand. Is that all right?
Ooh, okay.
That's all right.
Okay, and my first witness I'd like to bring to the stand is when
yes.
when were you last at Puzzle Slime's Island?
Earlier today.
And did you notice any dangerous creatures while you were there?
There was a skeleton that kept spawning in a creeper as well that Slime called that was going to blow things up.
Oh, okay. So Slime acknowledged that his not lighting up his base was a danger to everybody.
Yes.
Can the court take a break? Are there,
It's called a recess.
timeouts in court? A recess?
We could take a. Sure.
Did a puzzled slime give you permission to go on his island?
Yes.
Did he give you permission to go in the areas that were unlit?
Yes.
Did you accept the terms and conditions of going on his island?
In a sense, he didn't tell us till we were actually on the island and already hiding.
True or false?
God. Oh god.
That's
You promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
So what did you witness?
So I would like to point out that
I've seen many good points on both sides. I've seen the defense generally act quite rowdy during these proceedings. I can see that there is a certain reason why Slime could have chosen to keep his base unlit. But as his base keeps expanding and growing and being nonetheless lit up for the foreseeable future, because we have not seen any change, it's becoming more and more of a danger to everyone who chooses to step foot in there, being invited to the island or not. Therefore, I think it's time for Slime to, if not completely light up his base, at least take serious steps towards mob proofing. I therefore think that Slime should be forced to make sure that every plant and new building he does above ground level is necessary to be lit up, as well as 1 Friday of community service for the server.
No, you can't let.
After the trial was had, people felt a little bit self-conscious, I think, about the trial going around without me being there, so they asked me to rate everyone who was involved in the trial. Let's just see. I personally, honestly, mostly interested in rating my own rules, but we'll save that for last. Let's first go over all the people in. So for Happy, first I felt he was very biased. After rewatching a lot of times, having to rewatch it a lot of times, I do feel he wasn't as biased as he felt. It's just like near the end, he made one call in Raven's favor that was like very clearly wrong, and I think that made it feel a lot more biased than he really was. Still, we can't look over the fact that he was originally the prosecutor. He was originally the person who sued Slime. So he really shouldn't have been a judge. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 because he tried to not be biased. Then Raven, during the trial, she made some good points, but then either kept going for far too long or it took her very long to get to that good point. But we kind of have to forgive her for that because I don't think she knew she was going to be a prosecutor a couple of seconds before she was giving her opening statement. So you have to kind of go with what you got. So I was going to give her a 6 out of 10, but there's a clip I haven't shown you yet. Here it is.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mhm.
What?
Oh,
What the?
Sorry, but
What are you doing here? What are you
this is
doing here?
Oh.
You didn't even knock.
There were refreshments.
I have to
Sorry,
defend the
sorry.
judge.
this
Okay,
is this
sorry,
is
sorry,
the
sorry.
judge's office.
Knock, 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 knock.
I see you knocking.
Yes.
Knock, knock, knock.
What is it?
Ouch.
Sorry.
Oh my!
Gasp.
I'm sorry. I just wanted
What
someone to say hi.
do you think you're doing? All right, you know what? From now on, I will convey any messages to his honorable stunt.
I'm sorry. I was just knocking on the door. You surprised me. Didn't mean to.
You're on very thin ice right now. What do you have to say to his honor?
I just wanted to say hi and check in about when the recess was ending.
Yeah, the recess will end when we re-enter the courtroom.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you. That's all. I just missed you guys.
Right.
I'm defending the
Very-
server
very
as a whole.
peculiar.
And you guys are part
Hey!
of it. So I just wanted to check that everything was okay.
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay, thank you.
I can't believe that just happened.
I don't. Yeah. No.
I
Very-
apologize.
Very unprofessional.
I did what I could, but next time I'll act sooner.
Yeah, so not only did Raven approach the judge without the opposing party being there, and that's not like just the judge is one thing, but in this scenario, it's both the judge and the jury. Then she punched the judge, and then she started talking about like, oh, I'm just doing what's best for the server. I'm just such a good person. You can't do that. That's terrible. If prosecute or if the defendant finds that out, that's an immediate mistrial. So for that, I was going to give her a 6 out of 10. I think we have to drop that down to like a 2 out of 10. We can't give a passing grade for that. I'm sorry, Raven. It is what it is. Then Slime. I don't want to rate the defendant. I put him on my list because he was one of the people who had a role, but then I started rating and I was like, it feels weird to rate the defendant. So he's not going to get a rating, but he did just flat out say he was guilty effectively during the trial. He said it like it was a defense, like, oh, but I only did it because of this reason. But that's still, you still telling the judge directly that you did the thing. Then Miller was way too aggressive during the trial with objections and towards the witnesses. And it didn't really pay attention on all the points where he should have. And I think he was focused too much on just winning single arguments instead of making a bigger point to convince the judge. So with that, I am going to give him a 5 out of 10, just barely on the passing grade. Then 5s did really good in my opinion. She could have paid more attention a couple times, but clearly the best of the group, so I'm going to give her an 8 out of 10. And then last but not least, thank you Raven, my rules. No, actually, they went a lot better than expected. I don't think I want to make too many changes to the rules just because I don't want to end up having to write like an entire full book of law. That sounds a little bit silly for our little SMP. I do think I'm going to add 2 things though. First, only the judge should be able to tell a witness to shorten their answer or keep on topic. Just I want to have it as an explicit rule that you can't tell that the lawyer can't tell a witness to shorten their answer or to just say a specific answer they want to hear, because that's just silly. And second, one thing they did actually, if we want to very strictly follow the rules I said did wrong, was they didn't, I'd said it so that, okay, the judge first comes up with their sentence so everybody kind of knows what the stakes are, was the idea. And then the evidence brought forward, and then by the end, the judge decides guilt. But instead, the sentence was only come up with after the whole thing. And I think that's fair. I think that makes sense. But I think both, to keep it a little bit more orderly, I think both defendant and prosecution should get an option to either make a statement of like they want the sentence to be higher or lower depending on what side they're on. With as one point being you can't then bring in new evidence or new arguments. It has to be based on the arguments that have been in the trial, that you can say like, hey, because of what we've said, I really think it should be a bigger sentence or a lower sentence. And then the judge can take that into consideration. I think that's a good way to add that. So there's a little bit of leeway there, but I hope that by just giving everyone only one opportunity to speak out, as it were, it keeps kind of the flow of things going so things don't get stuck too much. Oh, right. I forgot. 7 out of 10 for my rules. I thought I went a lot better than expected. Editing Slump here, speaking up to let you know that Recording Slump forgot to record an outro, so you'll have to deal with me. I'm so sorry for your loss. Any complaints can be sent to recording_slump@realemail.com. Anyway, this is the end of the video, so if you can do the regular YouTube stuff, I'm not sure, Subscribble or something, I don't know. Recording Slump usually handles all this, so just do the usual thing.
And Raven smells.
Objection, irrelevance.
Oh, yeah. Irrelevant.
The time.